Fabulous Tales and Fables ASAP by Owen T Duggan. Story 8. Bad Lords and Ladies, Good Slave.
Bad Lords and Ladies, Good Slave. Section 5. And it is put into an egg, and it is dropped to earth.
A journey of wonders it was, a tour of the life cycle. The slave was one day ushered past a breeding farm. That's where male and female slaves were put together in some kind of rape factory. People came from there. The slave was dragged there before the local boss, a grandee lady of the urbanity, who neither spoke nor looked directly at the slave, but kept her distance. Next they slept the night away comfortably at a nappy fluff farm. Old people were ending their days there, being useful in the end, as their hair grew uncontrollably, and they basically turned into living fur balls, then dead ones. Alpacans were there too, of course, which was nice. The ones shorn of their coats looked odd, but made you want to grimace pleasantly. The hair of humanoid and alpacan would blend to make cozy sleeping bundles, so useful. The slave slept in one there. But neither farm was a place where the slave could be useful in any way. Its hair would never grow uncontrollably, nor could it breed. In the morning, onward. They approached the lips of the world. The slave should have been more excited about this. There would be birds there, perched at the lip, some of them earth birds in variation, peering over the edge, making sounds, gathering among their own kind, roosting. Another feature of the terminal region that ringed the planet was the change in atmosphere. Whereas the sky was murky at the breeding factories and nappy fluff farms, the air cleared up when you reached the world's edge. You could see stars well at night time, so they said, though now it was still late afternoon. In sight was the crisp, sudden termination of land, above which floated random specks. Those were birds in flight. Clumps of human dwelling huts were there, spots where the properly entitled could look over the ledge at leisure. This was the slave's first time, and the activity of matching past acquired information with the actual experience of seeing should have merited a reaction of fascination. It did not. The slave had barely acknowledged the transfer to different attendants, and now barely recalled it. The scowling chef-tasker was long gone, for example, never to be seen again. This region had different titles and tasks for people. And after a forced hike towards a clump of huts, and arriving among them, the slave met for the first time one of these entitled people. Someone was making an announcement. "Here comes the Garnet! Here comes the Garnet! Attention, everyone! Here is the Garnet!" Someone was grabbing the slave's jaw and stuffing a pill into its mouth.
"Chomp down on that vitamin, you sack of excretion," someone said. "Crush it between your teeth. It will relax you during the procedure."
Slave did not resist, but did as told, swallowing the pill.
"It sits," came someone's commanding voice. "It sits on the ground."
The slave, indeed feeling exactly like sitting on the ground, did sit. The ground was mostly solid rock, not soft soil, but that didn't matter because everything was becoming so relaxed. Someone had to prop up and keep the slave from flopping over. The slave looked up to see the source of the commanding voice. It was a tall, beak-nosed, bald man with tattooed body and painted tunic. The beak was a mask, fake.
"Oh, hi, Garnet,"
said the slave absently.
How's it going, dude?"
The slave spaced out, grimacing. Smiling, in fact. Clearly no longer belonged on Vars. The Garnet, or Garnet, as the slave had called him without thinking, began the 50-50 ceremony.
Now, a final bit about Varusian society, its rituals, procedures, and fixations. Given it was all about making the useless useful, there were procedures towards this aim. One solemn process, for example, involved a captured king anaconda. The officiators placed a person not otherwise useful into an egg-shaped capsule. The capsule, also being called the victual, once it contained a person, was fed into the giant snake. After a span of time estimated as the limit of breathable air within the egg, something flat was flipped, which yielded a 50-50 chance. The victim was either extracted medically and interviewed for information about the experience, or, alternatively, the slave was consumed as the capsule dissolved. How did rituals and procedures such as this come about? That is not well known, since there were no books on Vars, rituals, and the reasons for them, along with all manner of information, were passed down mouth to ear and mouth to ear, so things naturally got a little distorted over time. For example, the name for Vars actually used to be Varus. The word got distorted. It's all part of Varusian society.
"It stands up," said the illustrated Garnet. Slave had to be told twice. It thought about standing, but forgot to actually do it. "It stands up." Now, with firm support, it stood.
"It sits down. It stands up,"
mumbled the slave.
"Make up your mind, dude. This Garnet fellow isn't speaking directly to me. He must be some kind of super illustrious lord." "Freaking stay standing, freak!"
said an attendant. A big oval egg was rolled in, the color of it taking the slave's breath away. A smoky purple it was. Streaks and ripples of violet it had, hints of white and blotches of clear translucence. The slave could not express much in words, but simply blurted out,
"Mallow slip. It has a finishing treatment of mallow slip, doesn't it? Fascinating. Spectacular."
Mallowslip was a kind of protective oil treatment. It had a distinctive sheen of mauvine. For a few moments the 10 or 20 people attending the ceremony, each performing this or that functional role, permitted the slave to act and speak stupidly. There were no backhanded swats across an impertinent face, no harsh words to assail the ears, no threats, no knives threatening to stab.
Okay, I get it. Feed me to the snake. Flip a plank. 50-50, I survive. I've been through worse, you know.
The slave felt the surface of the egg capsule. Hey, where's the door to this thing, anyway?
I have read the placement of star and planet,
declared the Garnet. Everyone fell absolutely silent, including the victim slave.
Now is not usual time. Now is ellipse of Varus.
Ellipse of Varus!
Ellipse of Varus!
Ellipse of Varus!
Ellipse of Varus!
Everyone joined in the intonation. Ellipse of Varus, 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 ellipse of Varus,
Oh, my iron lady.
Total ellipse of General Varus.
Ellipse of Varus,
Ellipse of Varus!
ellipse of Varus. Everyone intoned the phrase, except for the victim. That sounds like the lips of Vars, the place where I'm standing.
We shall conduct,
declared the Garnet,
a rite of dissension.
There was a wave of excitement. What's a rite of dissension? The slave wondered. It had never heard of that one before. Where is King Anaconda?
They put it into the egg. They put it into the egg.
Attendants opened a hidden door of the egg. The victim was suddenly reluctant and had to be forced inside. Wait, can't I use the toilet first? Once inside, the door was sealed. The sensation was like covering your ears with cupped hands. It could hear what was said outside only with effort. As for seeing, everything was cloudy, though some light was still getting through, so inside was not dark. On the upside, if there is one, the oddball it said, trying not to panic, I am not a slave anymore. I am a useful victim for an important ritual. I'm a victual, which is a kind of accomplishment, I guess. The next command sounded like,
They roar a leg to a hedge,
but really was,
They roll the egg to the ledge.
Yikes, that doesn't sound like something I want to do. Though all my life I imagined what it would be like to peer over the lip of Vars and see what was down there. Oh, the egg was rolled. Wait, stop. Can't I ask a question? Like, is Garnet the lord over all the other lords and ladies? At the edge, the egg stopped. There were more words, too hard to hear. There was a shove and a jolt, and everything was spinning. Extremely dizzy but not in pain, there passed a moment or two in the oddball's experience before the rotation stopped. It could now see through the shell with ease. Above was a bright arc. That was the ledge receding. On the inner side of the arc was the underbelly of the disk planet, which appeared from this angle obsidian, shiny black. That was information the slave never knew, never even thought to guess about. And there were patches like the skin of a gray patch panthera. The arc tightened until disk planet Vars was a round, glowing ring with a dark center. Stars became clear all around as Vars became a speck and nearly disappeared. One more light in the sky at night. Fascinating. Then it managed to shift its body and look the other way, downward. Earth was down there. Earth was the world below. They said you could only see it from the lips of Vars, but Vars was far above now. Gone from sight, you couldn't see it. Like some information you only hear from mouth to ear. And Earth was growing bigger, bigger. Earth so different. Earth was not mere information now, but something you could look at with eyes that see. Earth. round planet Earth.
Earth. The Earth has personal names and labels of shame, families and enemies, serious stories and stupid jokes, memories and aspirations, regrets and fears, piles of money and mountains of debt. Except for having people and maybe a few animals that were similar, Earth and its society was a world not much like Vars.
Plummeting, something occurred to this neutral abomination, this sexless oddball, to this person as a Varusian, this former slave. That this rite of dissension thing must involve chance. Yes, chance. The egg would either impact the ground with tremendous fatal force and smash to bloody bits, or else the egg would somehow survive the fall intact, merely slightly cracked. The contents, neither useful nor useless, but simply precious. Yes, precious. The contents somehow safe. There was no way to know in advance. The chance was 50-50. The end. You have just listened to Bad Lords and Ladies, Good Slave, Story 8 of Fabulous Tales and Fables ASAP by Owen T Duggan. Now, a re-summation of the 5 sections. Elsewhere, the succession of task after task changes the Lord Marquis's fascinating painting, and it is put into an egg, and it is dropped to earth. The end.